ABC 6 News at 5 on your side starts now.
Protests and pepper spray leading to a lot of questions. Protesters arguing their demonstrations were mostly peaceful, yet many ended up sprayed by police officers.
Columbus police say some people were violent and in the streets, forcing officers to respond in a way that would keep them on the sidewalk.
All of this just days after Mayor Ginther told us tear gas and pepper spray would no longer be used to break up peaceful protests. Protesters at Sunday's demonstration say they were peaceful, but many still ended up sprayed with chemical agents by Columbus police.
Organizers say they want to send their message peacefully, but also want their voices heard. Luann Stoya is live with what they say changed between last week and last night. Luann?
Well, we want to point out that here in Columbus, it's against the law to block the street. Protesters need a permit to do that. And take a look, more law enforcement and media out here than protesters. Protesters telling us that they know the rules, but they believe the only way to make their point is to be disruptive.
A Father's Day Sunday clash between protesters and police.
And it just seemed like a war zone. I mean, it was just complete chaos.
Tynan Krakoff with Surge Columbus was there to protest, but didn't expect the police presence.
But I'm pretty sure it was a medic who was being dragged away and pulled, across the pavement.
Maurice Carpenter was on his 20th day of protesting when things turned ugly. A citywide officer in trouble call went out. A scooter tossed at police, captured on body camera video.
They took the bicycles and pushed all the protesters over, and then they start spraying everybody.
Some tell us they think police were called in following multiple reports of drivers getting detained and fires set on downtown streets last week.
Yes, people were in the streets, but it was just a week ago that Mayor Ginther said that itself wouldn't be enough for pepper spray.
Crews are out working to remove graffiti and make repairs around the State House. Krakoff tells us he doesn't want to see anybody hurt, but he's putting pressure on those who are in the positions to make change.
We're not advocating for violence. We're not advocating for property destruction, but peace in the sense of the status quo. If people don't protest, the status quo continues.
Some protesters tell us they think police need to find compromise with demonstrators.
Being consistent and showing my presence and being heard in a peaceful manner, speaking not only just to my protesters, but also to the police officers whenever I get a chance, just so they can see from our point of view, and then allow them to speak to me so I can see their point of view. And maybe we can find a medium.
Back out here live, troopers making their presence known here at the State House right now. Now, the mayor says if anyone has firsthand accounts, videos, photos, they will investigate. Again, very quiet down here right now, but some protesters have told me that they are expecting more demonstrators here in just about an hour. For now, we're live downtown. Luann Stoya, ABC 6 News.
Luann, thank you. Meanwhile, police officers in Columbus are telling us they don't quite know how to react to these protests. This as the Columbus City Council begins reviewing what tools police should or should not have.
Jeff Reddick spoke with the men and women on the front lines. Jeff joining us live from police headquarters tonight with the officers' complaints and their concerns, Jeff.
Bob and Stacia, some of these police officers I spoke with tell me responding to the protests up the street is holding them back from getting to their regular police calls, sometimes for hours, sometimes a full day. But they don't know whether or not to go up and get the protesters out of the street on High Street or just let them take over the streets. They claim the orders keep changing. Now, I spoke with 3 different police officers today with Columbus Police. None of them wanted to go on camera or be identified, but here's some of what they told me. Quote, "My fear is officers are going to be apprehensive to use force and are going to end up getting hurt because of it." Quote, "We were all staged when a cruiser had been damaged. We could see the suspect from where we were, and we were told by a supervisor on radio, let them go. It's only property." Quote, "I'm not real impressed. Ginther doesn't give a blank about us. He's only out for himself." Now, all of this from the officers comes on the same day the Columbus City Council announced it will explore whether CPD should even have certain riot dispersal tools. Council President Pro Tem Liz Brown told me she thinks police have trouble respecting free speech. She calls for a demilitarization of police, saying their presence should never look and feel like a war.
What tools does our department really need to be able to keep people safe? So we're going to have a public hearing process to update our purchasing code. create rules for the road so that the public understands as well as I understand what's allowed to be purchased and what's not.
Brown says she will schedule the first of those hearings within the next 2 weeks. Meanwhile, the president of the Union for Columbus Police responded today and said, quote, if you want to write new police policy without having police experience, then you need to provide the solutions as well on what we should do to stop riots. Officers on the street who I spoke with tonight say, above all, they just want clear direction. They feel like they're getting pulled in a lot of different directions between the mayor's office, the administration at CPD, and what they're seeing on the street with their own eyes. Bob and Stacia.
Jeff Reddick live for us downtown. Thank you. Columbus Mayor Andrew Ginther says it's clear how police should respond to protesters, even after seeing the clashes over the weekend.
6 on your side, investigator Tara Morgan live at City Hall now. So, Tara, what does the mayor think about the last 24 hours?
Well, Mayor Ginther says what happened last night is something that can't happen in the city every night. He spoke with me one-on-one about the city's response and the police response to the protests. He says yesterday did start peaceful and grew violent in the evening, where a scooter was thrown at an officer and another officer was tackled. Last week, Ginther's directive banned tear gas and pepper spray from being used on non-aggressive crowds. Yesterday, Ginther says pepper spray was used in a targeted way toward people who became violent. The mayor says it's important that it's communicated that they're trying to strike a balance on protecting constitutional rights. He wants to be sure protesters and police get home safely.
Can you be clear as to what the officers are supposed to do?
I think, the chief has been very clear, and now Deputy Chief Woods and the commander have been very clear. Assistant City Attorney Furby have been very clear about, policies, procedures, strategies, and tactics. So if there is any confusion, we've tried to clarify things and spell things out for folks, let folks know when they couldn't use tear gas and pepper spray because we felt like it didn't meet the community's expectations.
Mayor Ginther says he wants to hear from you if you think police have been out of line, and he wants to see videos. That's why he set up a special email for people to report questionable interactions with police. Tonight at 6, I asked the mayor if he should resign or if the chief's job is in jeopardy. The chief of police, that is. We'll have that report coming up at 6. For now, we're live at City Hall. Tara Morgan, ABC 6 News.
Tara, thank you. A public viewing is happening now for Rayshard Brooks. An Atlanta police officer shot and killed him 10 days ago. A private funeral will be held tomorrow at the historic Ebenezer Baptist Church, a church where Martin Luther King Jr. once preached. 2 Atlanta police officers have been charged in Brooks's death. The police chief resigned the following day.
America is watching Congress to see how lawmakers will act on passing new police reform laws. Any major changes will require some compromise. And national correspondent Atra El-Nashar shows us where negotiations stand right now.
We're asking to have good faith bipartisan discussions.
Sounds simple enough, but with dueling bills on police reform coming from Democrats in the House and Republicans in the Senate, each side is standing by their version.
If negotiations started, we could have a bill this week.
Leading the Democrats' efforts are California Senator Kamala Harris and New Jersey Senator Cory Booker. For Republicans, it's South Carolina Senator Tim Scott.
There are about 70% overlap between what is in the Justice Act and what the House of Representatives is promoting.
The biggest differences between the Democrats' George Floyd Justice and Policing Act and Republicans' Justice Act are how to get rid of chokeholds, the use of no-knock warrants, and whether or not to keep legal protections for officers that shield them from lawsuits. Many Democrats say the Justice Act doesn't go far enough, and some may block it from even being debated on the Senate floor.
The senators who want to see a more aggressive bill don't want to be in the position of refusing to debate anything. So I expect that you'll see a debate in the Senate, and they don't want to be seen as having blocked any debate.
On the House side, Democrats failed to get any Republicans on board, but likely won't need them to pass their version along party lines during a vote later this week.
We want there to be a bill. We want there to move forward. So if someone is obstructionist, they'll take the blame for it. We don't want that, though. We want there to be good legislation we can put on the president's desk.
Both Democrats and Republicans say a deal needs to be made, but so far, neither side is showing signs they will be the one to compromise. In Washington, I'm Atrell Nashar reporting.
Read more about police reform plans both here and across the country on the free ABC6 app and on our website, abc6onyourside.com. We're sharing updates as they happen. And if you want the app, just search for WSYX in your app store.
Had a bunch of rain early in the day, then the clouds opened up a little bit. It's been pretty nice this afternoon in central Ohio. A lot of that rain moving to the east. You can see a little of it now just left over out here by I-77, but a lot of that is continuing to move over toward West Virginia and Pennsylvania. We still have a few areas to watch, though. In Columbus, there's a light shower showing up not far from downtown, and some storms down near Cincinnati. Those are likely to blossom later, and we're going to find that these turn into another round for the overnight hours. There'll be another line behind that. Here's what it looks like on Futurecast. You notice that there are a few showers for the evening, very, very far apart. Not a whole lot going on. But by the time we get to the overnight hours, then you've got this round coming through with some heavy downpours, some lightning and thunder. Might wake you up again during the overnight hours. Your evening looks very pleasant. An isolated storm is possible, but temperatures will be close to the upper 70s and mostly dry. I'll show you again when those showers show up in a few minutes.
All right, thank you, Marshall. Former Buckeye Cardale Jones weighs in on what he would do if he was at Ohio State right now, why he believes OSU can survive without a season.
And the investigation grows after a noose is found in a NASCAR driver's garage. After the break, the touching moment as rivals stand with Bubba Wallace.